Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Trouble, and I'm going to be doing a review. And today I'm doing a review on continuing my review series on the One Punch Man manga. And today we're doing a review of the Sea Monsters arc of the One Punch Man manga. And this is, I think, just in general, in the One Punch Man community, it's one of the just one of the favorite arcs. I just finished rereading it to make this video, and I loved it. I love it so much. Deep Sea King he's one of my favorite villains. I was about to say heroes. He's one of my favorite villains in the entirety of the story. And so yeah, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy it a lot. So with that, let's just jump right on in and get into it. So got my notes over here. So we open up, and the first thing we see going into the arc, coming off of the giant meteor arc, is the Octopus Cthulhu monster. The Cthulhu-looking octopus monster, and he's like, hey humans, I bring message. I'm the messenger, and Saitama just shows up and just one-shots it, and all the people there, they saw that, and all the people there saw that, and they all started talking, and going over who Saitama was. They're going they start talking about, I heard that's Saitama, and I heard about that new C-class newcomer, C-class hero. I heard he finishes every fight with one punches. They're all going over stuff like that. But then we cut away from that, and then we see the army. You'll see the sea army, or the sea monsters army, attacking the city, and just the whole wave of them coming in. And but as they were coming in, we found out that the hero Stinger was on patrol, which this is the first time we're seeing him. It's the first time we introduce him. You guys probably know him. I think he's one of the more popular non-S-class heroes. He's one of the more popular A-class heroes. He was there with Death Gatlin, and when they fought Garo. And so he said he was on patrol, and he was bored out of his mind. And while he was on patrol, the sea monsters come, and he decides to take them on. But before we get to see Stinger taking on the sea monsters, we cut away to Genos and Saitama, and they're at Genos is at Saitama's they're at Saitama's apartment, and Genos is going over the fact that Saitama, because he defeated that monster, is now C-class rank 2, and he's explaining C-class to us. And the way it goes is that we get an introduction to Moomin Rider, and also we get a hint at Fubuki, right? And so he explains that once a C-class hero reaches C-class rank 1, they get to decide whether or not they can choose whether or not they go to B-class. And the current holder of C-class rank 1, he doesn't name drop him now, but in the community we all know him as Moomin Rider, and he says that Moomin Rider has been holding his title as C-class rank 1 for over a year, right? And Saitama is really excited because Genos implies that just a few more fights and you'll be B-class, and you no longer have to fulfill weekly quotas or anything like that. And Saitama is he's really excited about that. And also he's reading a manga. Saitama's reading a manga named, I think it's Sunman, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the manga that he's reading. Oh, and Genos is doing the dishes, and he uses his incineration cannons to dry the dishes. This is just a really small thing I noticed. He's doing the dishes, and he uses his incineration cannons to dry them. But as he and Saitama, they're there talking, Genos gets a call from the Hero Association about the sea monsters attacking J City, and he comes back and he tells Saitama and asks Saitama about the monster he defeated on his way back from patrol, which is the Octopus Cthulhu monster, or Cthulhu Octopus. monster. You, you pick. I don't think there is a name for him in the community, but anyway. Saitama doesn't really remember anything because, this is something. If you when you read One Punch Man, this is something you start to notice, is that Saitama can't differentiate. He doesn't know the difference between a tiger and a wolf. Like, he is so far above everyone that there's literally no difference between a dragon and a wolf to him, because the match that Saitama defeated was a disaster level wolf, the Octopus Cthulhu monster, right? Was disaster level wolf. There is no difference in Saitama's. He's so far above it, like, he can't really tell the difference between that. Saitama wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the Octopus Claw monster, which is a disaster level wolf, and Platinum S. He can't. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the difference. He can't differentiate between them. They're all just the same to him. They're all the same to him, right? I think the only one he'd be able to really differentiate would be like Boros, maybe Boros and Tatsumaki, and even then, that's still like maybe, right? Anyway, so Saitama is like, let's head out, right? But right after that, Saitama, after hearing the news of what's going on in J City, and there are no immediate, like, really strong heroes there, we get a news broadcast, and of Stinger again fighting the monsters, and we hear like Stinger is on the ropes, and we cut back to him, and then we see Stinger. He just obliterates them, because I think they're all just disaster level wolf and disaster level tiger, and Stinger is struggling against them because they're pretty tough, because he's only an A-class hero, and they are pretty tough, but he destroys them, right? He goes through them like they're nothing, and he's excited about this. He's like, oh, I just obliterated a bunch of dragons, like, that's how excited he was. And this is when we get the main man of the story, the big boss. He just comes in and is like, I'm sorry, dear, but you're an eyesore, right? And he just punches at Stinger one blow, right? We see the King of the Sea in all his majesty, right? And that ends the chapter. But after that, we go to the we move on to the next chapter, which is which is generally centers around Deep Sea King, which is the entire chapter is basically Deep Sea King versus Lightning Max. Anyway, right after that, we see we cut into the chapter, and we saw that on the roof, Lightning Max, which is A-class rank 20 hero, and I forgot to add this, Stinger is A-class rank 11 at this point in the story. Lightning Max A-class rank 20. So yeah, he's been watching the whole ordeal between Stinger and all of them, because he arrived late, and so he saw that Stinger got defeated, right? And he realized that he's not strong enough, and so he's thinking about tactical retreating. And as he goes to retreat, Deep Sea King is right there behind him, and he realizes it, and he goes, like, you remember, he makes a weird sound, right? And he turns away, right? And he turns away, and he's like, oh shit, and he introduces himself to Deep Sea King, and like, he kicks Deep Sea King with a lightning kick, and he's like, that hurts, why did you do that? And he said, like, I'm Lightning Max, A-class hero rank 20, fight me. And Deep Sea King punches him so freaking hard, he flies straight across the street into the other building, and he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna die, right? And just as he's like, oh, I need to muster the strength and retreat, he hears the building shaking, like he thought it was an earthquake, right? And he thought it was very, like, I gotta run, and he gets up to run, and as he's getting up to run, he goes, oh shit, and Deep Sea King is just standing right there, right? He's just standing right there, and Lightning Max goes, he does his like super, he does his super move, his final move, and he's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. And then Deep Sea King with this sadistic smile goes, "I'm gonna kill your ass," right? Right? And Deep Sea King is just like, he reminds me of if you watch One Piece, he reminds me of Doflamingo. They aren't exactly the same, but like there's a mania to him. And if you read when you read the arc and you pay attention to him, like you can see his mania. A lot of times you see if you remember Doflamingo, like his vein, like whenever he gets agitated or upset, a vein, and you see that a lot with Deep Sea King in this arc, right? And so he just, and Lightning Max didn't do shit, right? And punches him out the window. And with the end of this chapter, that's when Pure Puri or Puri Puri or Pure Puri prisoner shows up and catches Lightning Max. And shows up behind him is none other than our boy Sonic showing up, and he thanks Pure Prisoner for helping him get out of prison. Now this is a bonus chapter, and this chapter centers around the next chapter that you get in is a bonus chapter, and it generally centers around Sonic being in prison, right? And how we got to the events of the end of the last chapter, and it explains how Sonic got out of prison. It also explains Pure Prisoner. Pure Prisoner puts himself in the prison. Pure Prisoner is serving an eternity life sentence because, well, he really likes men, and he can't help himself. So, there you go. Anyway, yeah. And so he locked himself into prison with a bunch of dudes. Yeah, I mean, this is trigger warning for anyone out there. Locks himself in prison because, if he can't attack regular dudes, he'll attack the criminals. They're criminals, and he's punishing them. That's kind of his philosophy, and it's just a fucking horrible philosophy, really. Let's be honest, it's just goddamn horrible, right? Horrible. Anyway, so cut back to the chapter. Deep Sea King shows up from destroying Lightning Max, and he introduced himself. He's like, "Oh, so more soldiers have come to fight me," and Pure Prisoner went. I'm Pure Prisoner, S-class hero. I won't forgive you for ruining two of my boys, right? And so Pure Prisoner decides, I'm gonna use half my strength, and he decides to transform, and he's wearing a sweater. And because he transforms, he rips the sweater because he's basically this Mr. Olympia-esque man, this strong man, this highly masculine, muscular dude, and then you put a magical girl across with Sailor Moon, right? It's like imagine Goku or Baki, a Baki character, crossed with Sailor Moon. And that's Pure Prisoner. So he decides to transform, and he rips his sweater, and he freaks out. He's like, I won't ever forgive you. And Deep Sea King's like, and this again goes into Deep Sea King's personality. Like, there is this mania and this sadism to him. Like, he's sadistic, and like, and it's very entertaining to read, right? He's very sadistic, and he punches, like he refers to Pure Prisoner as high quality meat, and it might be good, and it might be good to try and taste it. And he punches Pure in the face, and Pure strikes back, and Pure delivers a punch to his gut so hard it literally explodes his kingly cape, like just the force of the blow, and lifts him into the air and sends him flying. And then Deep Sea King gets up and he's like, I felt that just a little though. And Pure Prisoner says the same thing. He's like, yeah, I felt that. I felt your punch too, just a little though. And then this is where Sonic is there. If you still remember, Sonic is still here, and he's watching the whole fight. And Sonic starts to break it down that no, Pure Prisoner is actually really hurt from that. That punch really messed him up. His balance is off. His balance is all off, and he describes them as both being a power type. They're all power, no real technique to them. Sonic, he has a superiority complex that I don't think the fucking universe is big enough the whole. like even I don't even think Saitama is stronger than Sonic's superiority complex, really. Anyway, and this is when Pure Prisoner decides to transform in his his angel form, right? Pure Prisoner decides to transform in his angel form. I think I think it says like Angel Rush, and then he Angel Rushes Deep Sea King, but it doesn't really do anything, and Deep Sea King remarks, if you're going to do a rush attack, make sure that every punch that you throw, make sure it comes with the intention of killing your opponent, right? Kind of like this. And then he rushes Pure Prisoner, and a rush so Pure Prisoner couldn't even block, couldn't do anything, and it kicks him it kicks him so hard, and he hits a building, and he doesn't stop. He just literally just takes off the building with him. A piece of the building just comes off, because he kicked them so hard. And then this goes into Pure Prisoner versus Sonic, which is amazing. And then we see Sonic's superiority complex on full display here. Pure Prisoner explains that he's the king of the sea, and he's come to rule over all of the earth. Sonic says, you could have had a peaceful life at the bottom of some sea, but you had to win and get greedy, right? Oh, so, and he's like, oh, so you're gonna oppose me too? And Sonic is like, I was just gonna go home. I was just gonna go home and leave you be, but your arrogance, I'm gonna kick your ass for it, right? But you just had to go and piss me off, right? So this goes into Sonic versus Deep Sea King, which is incredibly fun. You guys probably already know this, but Sonic versus Deep Sea King is and Sonic goes in, and it's essentially power versus speed. Deep Sea King is incredibly fast and incredibly strong, but Sonic is 100 times faster than Deep Sea King, actually, right? And it's one of those fights, it's one of those fights in One Punch Man where you're like, if only, it's one of those fights I really would like to see. If Sonic had his full gear and weapons, if he would actually be able to take on Deep Sea King, right? Because Deep Sea King is going he's destroying it, and again, he can't hit Sonic, and Sonic is hitting him. Sonic he does a wind blade kick, he punches him and blitzes him, right? And he's like, this is what I want, thank you, Deep Sea King. Someone that's strong like you, someone like you is what I needed to reaffirm. How strong I am. And this is going back into the him versus Saitama, because Saitama is so ridiculously stronger than Sonic. He thinks he's nothing, and so he's really excited to fight Deep Sea King, because he's like, no, my techniques are the strongest in the world, and fighting someone like you only reminds me, alright, is a good reminder of me to see just how strong my techniques are. And Deep Sea King is getting more frustrated, and this is when it starts to rain, and he's getting more frustrated. But as the two of them are fighting, we notice something, is that Deep Sea King is getting larger. Sonic notices something, that he's getting larger and he's getting stronger, right? But before we get into that whole Deep Sea King thing, we cut away and we see a My Mask, and a My Mask is My Mask exclaims that heroes always win. To be a hero is to be perfect. It's a My Mask bullshit, and to destroy evil. And he feels pity for all the heroes who lost, and they need to go on an intensive training regiment and stuff like that. But then we cut away, and Genos and Saitama is coming towards the J City, and if at some point during them traveling together, Genos got separated from Saitama. It doesn't really explain how, but he did. But anyway, we come back and we see Deep Sea King just going at Sonic like a beast, and he's hungry and he wants to kill him. We see since he came out of the sea, he actually shriveled up and he got weaker. But now that the rain is falling and he's all moisturized again, he transformed, and he looks nothing. He looks like a full and complete monster in this scene, and I love it. I love his design. I love his character. Everything about this dude is pretty cool, right? Anyway, Sonic realizes that he can't defeat Deep Sea King because his attacks aren't doing anything. His attacks, they don't have any power behind them. They're just fast. There's no real power though. So he needed weapons, and Sonic disappears and says, I'm gonna go get my weapons and come back. And then when Sonic leaves, as Sonic is running away, that's when he sees Genos. And he comes across Genos, and he tells Genos, "Don't go. You heroes, you're posers. You can't defeat a monster so strong. Only someone like me can defeat a monster so strong," which pisses Genos off, and Genos calls him a pervert. Yeah, but then we cut away back to the shelter. We cut away back, and then we go back to the shelter. The shelter is where all the citizens are hiding away from the monster, and and that's where Deep Sea King is making him. Deep Sea King shows up at the shelter and decides that he's going to kill all of them. But as he's saying he's going to kill all of them, I think it's Rope Black Man or Black Rope Man or black something. I think it's Black Rope Man. I don't remember exactly the word behind that. He's like a C-class hero, and he says, "I surrender." And but as he surrendered, Deep Sea King is like, "Yeah, I don't want you to surrender. What are you talking about?" And a bunch of heroes, Snek, Jet Nice Guy, and another one I forgot his name. Anyway, they all got up, and Deep Sea King just one-shots them. But Snek was actually able to dodge, he punched a hole through Jet Nice Guy, and Snek actually was able to dodge, right? One of his attacks, but he was able to dodge, and Deep Sea King just blitzed him immediately. And that's when Genos arrives, and Genos is like, "I will eliminate you," and punches Deep Sea King so hard, like it is one of the most badass sequence ever. He punches Deep Sea King so hard he flies through the shelter, and you see the buildings behind him just gets eradicated, right? And Genos does his thing that he always does, where he lets his guard down. Deep Sea King comes up behind him and rips off one of his arms and slaps him into a wall. Genos tells all the people in the and that's when Genos tells all the citizens or civilians in the stadium to run, because he isn't sure if he's going to win. And Genos and Deep Sea King start an exchange of blows. Genos kicks Deep Sea King in the face, and Deep Sea King punches Genos in the face. And so yeah, they start to exchange. And as they're fighting, and a little girl stops and says, "Hang in there, mister." And Deep Sea King says, "Shut up," and spits acid at this little girl, this tiny little girl with her bunny, and spits acid. And Genos jumps in front of the acid, and takes the blow. And Deep Sea King lifts him up and punches him into a wall. And before you can even think, he just blitzes him over there again and punches him through the concrete. And he's like, I never expected you to actually jump in front of her and try to save her. But I'm gonna kill you either way. And that's when you hear Justice crash. Moomin Rider shows up. Moomin Rider shows up and tries to stop Genos from try to stop Deep Sea King and try to fight Deep Sea King. And this is where I think the main point of the arc is a true hero. What a true hero is. And I don't think of all the heroes that we saw up until now, the only one who was really and truly a hero, the A-class hero, the B-class, the A-class, C-class, Sonic, let's see, Lightning Max, Stinger, Pure Prisoner, none of them are really heroes. And I think this is what one is getting at here, is that none of these individuals are actually heroes. And here we saw a true hero, because we get the narration says that no one expected him to win. No one had any hope of him winning, right? And he himself is like, no one expects anything of me. But what else do you expect? And I don't think I can defeat you. I know I can't defeat you, but I still have to try. And it's one of the best moments in the manga so far, because it is the embodiment of a true hero. Someone so selfless and willing to put their lives on the line for you, no matter what, even if they can't win, even if they can't fight, no matter what it is, right? That's the core of a hero. And Deep Sea King gets even more agitated, and again, we're seeing more and more of his mania throughout all of this. more and more his mania coming out, like his psychotic. There's a psychological flaw in there. Like he's not 100%, is what I'm trying to say. And he goes in, and all the people start chanting. He's like, I'm your fan. You can do it. Hang in there. And Deep Sea King just punches him because Deep Sea King is a disaster level demon. There's nothing he can really do about it. And and Saitama catches him. And this is when finally the big man shows up. Saitama catches him. And Saitama sees Genos, and he's like, dude, how are you even alive? What happened to you? Right? Right? Deep Sea King punches Saitama. The iconic scene of him punching Saitama in the back of the head. And Saitama is like, nah, your punch was just weak. Saitama tells him that his punch is weak. And then he goes into, I'm the king of the sea, and all life came from the sea, which technically means that, I'm the king of everyone. Saitama's like, blah, 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 blah. Can you just get this over with? And, the same thing he did with Boros during the Boros arc, which is coming up next, actually. It's coming up, which is directly comes after this arc. Saitama compliments Moomin Rider, and Saitama compliments Moomin Rider, and then just sort of one shot, and not even one, he just punched so perfect, like he just one shots Deep Sea King, punches a hole straight through his chest, like so fast we don't even see it. I like the way it was done in the manga. Like I really like the way it played out in the manga, and the way it played out in the anime, where he just cleared out the rain. Yeah. And then after that, all the people started saying like, oh, the heroes were weak and all yada yada yada. And then Saitama says, oh, and then Saitama he hears what was going on, and he takes the blame. This one sniveling bastard starts making fun of the heroes, calling them weak, saying that the monster must have been weak, or the heroes were really weak. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? He's just one of those dudes that you want to punch in the face because they're assholes. Anyway, and Saitama takes the blame. He's like, it's a good thing all those heroes weakened the monster. But even though they weakened the monster, I finished it, so I was going to take all the credit, and effectively turning all the people against him, making them believe that he was trying to take credit. He was trying to take all the credit for the work that all the other heroes did. And Saitama took that all on, and this makes Genos admire him even more. Genos even says, like, what are you doing, Sensei? Why are you doing this? You're turning everyone against you. Is this the path you really want to take? And what will I do? Right? But the last thing we see of this chapter is the setup for the next chapter, which is the oracle, and we get the prophecy, the prophecy, which has been hanging in the background of the story so far, is that the world will be destroyed, and of the disaster level god, right? The disaster level god prophecy, and that's the end of the Sea Monsters arc. That's the last thing we get of it. It's just a setup for the next arc to come. And so yeah, that's the Sea Monsters arc. It's a pretty interesting arc. I love it. Deep Sea King is one of my favorite. This dude's swagger and he's terrifying. He has a shit ton of swagger. He's merciless, brutal. We got Sonic. I always love Sonic. Whenever Sonic shows up, he's one of my favorite characters. And yeah, it's a pretty fun arc. I do recommend it. It's one of the best arc in all of One Punch Man. It's one of the most entertaining arc in all of One Punch Man. And so, if you're a fan of One Punch Man, if you've never read One Punch Man, I do recommend it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.